we want to thank all of you for coming out. Senator Boxer has signed on to a letter with other senators. We want to just read some excerpts out of it to let you know that our efforts were not in vain today. Number one, maintain 1 to 3 day delivery standards for first-class mail, not 4 and 5 day delivery. As we move forward with reforms, we must prevent cuts to service standards that will allow for the closure of 252 area mail processing facilities. The Postal Service has already reduced its number of mail facilities from 675 to 508 over the last 6 years. And the Postmaster General has made clear that any additional reductions would result in a substantial decline in the reliable and expedient postal service that Americans have come to expect. The USPS cannot afford to disappoint its customers in this manner. It does not exist in a vacuum, but rather competes for market share with private services that have the capacity to offer convenient and expedient delivery. If USPS becomes inconvenient and slow, many of its loyal customers, from home delivery medication companies to newspaper publishers, will turn to private mailing options. Once those customers leave, they are most likely not coming back, and the Postal Service financial woes will continue to spiral. Therefore, we would urge you to include manager's amendment language to prohibit the USPS from ending 1 to 3 day delivery standards for first-class mail. We would support a 4-year sunset on this provision to give USPS the time it needs to come up with a new business model. 2, protect rural post offices. We must prevent the closure of rural post offices. In many rural parts of the country, most post offices are often the heart and soul of their communities. As just 2 examples, many seniors in rural areas rely on the local post office for timely delivery of prescription medication, and many small businesses rely on the local post office for shipping their product. For centuries, USPS has provided a maximum degree of service to rural communities, and as current law provides, it is the specific intent of the Congress that effective postal service be ensured to residents of both urban and rural communities. The closure of thousands of mostly rural post offices currently being studied by the USPS fly directly in the face of its universal service requirement, as they would lead many residents to drive up to an hour to reach the nearest post office. It makes no economic sense to have hundreds of people spending hours driving back and forth multiple times to a distant post office rather than maintaining a local post office, potentially with reduced hours. To protect rural post offices, 1789 includes the Moran-Tester Amendment. This is a good step forward, but we would go further. Specifically, we would ask that manager's amendment language be included to strengthen this provision by ensuring that the USPS is required to consider the lack of access to internet, broadband, and cell phone coverage before it can close down a post office. In addition, we believe that the Postal Regulatory Commission should have binding authority to prevent post offices from being closed in cases which USPS did not follow the service standards of the Moran-Tester Amendment. Finally, we would note there is support for prohibiting the Postal Service from closing any post office which results in more than 10 miles distance between any two post offices as a backstop to ensure our most isolated communities are not left without access. Number 3, maintain 6-day delivery of mail. As you know, 1789 prevents the USPS from eliminating 6-day delivery for the next 2 years. After this 2-year period, the Postal Service can eliminate 6-day delivery if the Government Accountability Office, the GAO, has determined that all of its other cost-cutting revenue options have been exhausted, and it is the only way for the Postal Service to return to profitability. We believe that this is a good first step, but that it should be improved. We would ask that the manager's amendment language include changing the 2-year ban on ending 6-day delivery to 4 years. Further, we would recommend that language be added to make it clear that after this 4-year ban has ended, the USPS could end 6-day delivery only if the GAO determines that this is the only viable option for the Postal Service to achieve long-term fiscal sustainability rather than profitability. 4, establish a Blue Ribbon Entrepreneur Commission to develop a new business model for the Postal Service to succeed in the 21st century. Finally, we would ask the manager's amendment language be inserted to establish a Blue Ribbon Commission to develop a new business model for the Postal Service to succeed in the 21st century. As you know, under current law, the USPS is prohibited from engaging in new non-postal business opportunities. This prohibition is putting the U.S. Postal Service at a severe financial disadvantage compared to many other post offices in the developed world. One of the very positive provisions of 1789 is that it allows the USPS to contract with state and local government to perform services such as issuing hunting and fishing license, copy and notarizing. 1789 also allows the Postal Service to ship wine and beer. Further, 1789 would allow the Postal Service to perform other new activities as long as they do not unfairly compete with the private sector. We see this provision as a very positive step towards providing more flexibility that will allow the USPS to generate new revenue. We think that concept, however, could be expanded. We would ask that the manager's amendment language be included to establish a Blue Ribbon Commission of entrepreneurs, innovators, postmasters, experts in the mailing industry, and a labor to develop a report recommending a new business model for the USPS to achieve long-term fiscal sustainability. This report should be completed within 6 months, and the USPS would have 3 years to implement this plan. Thank you in advance for your consideration to our request. We look forward to working with you on this important issue, and the senators are signed on to it, including Feinstein and Boxer from California. Okay? So again, we want to thank all that are here. You know that our battle is just beginning. There are over 30 pieces of legislation concerning the Postal Service now. Our Bill 1351 can't even get out of the committee because the Republicans control the votes in the committee. And as most of you know, Darrell Iss's 2309 is detrimental. All those bills that are out there, most of them are detrimental to the Postal Service. Let's keep the fight up. Let's continue to struggle, and we will prevail.